Alright, having gone through Python for quite some time now, let's understand a few more concepts which can be used. A few concepts that are remaining that we need to learn while developing IoT applications are the concepts of global and local variables, which we might use quite often, especially in programs where we have really big programs and you need communication between two different functions or something like that. You might have to require global variables instead of local variables. Now, global and local variables in Python is quite different from other programming languages, hence we will look at them in detail. Also, we need to go through the concept of inheritance, which is an OOP concept in Python, as well as we need to have a look at multi-threading. There can be processes which require many a times when you press a button or in a real world application, let's say for example if you are going for an automotive vehicle and the vehicle switches on or switches off and switches on with a button or something like that. Okay, so when a button is pressed, what should happen? An event should occur. That event should, whenever that event occurs, we have some kind of result happening. But while I'm waiting for that event, I should also do my own activities, right? So if I am doing, let's say for example, I'm blinking a light, but at the same time I need to wait for a button press. If both these events are occurring at the same time, I need two threads, right? I need two processes to be actively doing both. That is, blinking an LED and at the same time waiting for a button press. Yes, we're going to have a look at that when we go into Python with Raspberry Pi and when we go in detail with respect to that. Alright, so Python, when you have a look at it with respect to IoT, we require these concepts majorly, that is even multi-threading. And a few more concepts which may be required is file handling and handling databases, because a lot of data is being collected. That is, a lot of sensor data can be collected and stored, and as a result a lot of this data needs to be manipulated, needs to be analyzed and stuff like that. So we might have to learn how to handle databases, of different types and stuff like that. Okay, and then we go on to advanced Python learning, where we use packages for data analysis. Okay, where we use packages like NumPy, SciPy, and other, pandas, matplotlib, something like that. So we're going to have a look at all of them in detail as we go for advanced Python, which are required for IoT. And of course, there are concepts which will make our program more efficient by using Pythonic concepts called as decorators and generators. We're going to look at them maybe at a later stage, which we don't require right now, and maybe a few packages that are going to help us out in the long run. Okay, for now let's understand global and local variables, the first concept, which can help us dive into a few things. Let's go to open a new file, and after opening a new file, let's start with the coding out here. Okay, so let's define a function. Let me call that function as f. Okay, now before I call this particular function, I want to do something outside, like in the main. Okay, I want to define a variable, let's say s. It's a string which says, I love Mumbai or something like that. I love Mumbai. And after doing that, I am just going to call the function. Now what this function does is it prints s. Oh, so you're not passing s. S is somewhere outside the function, but in the function you're just printing s. Let's see if this works. Of course you need to save it. Okay, and we're going to save it as, let's call it as variables global and local. Okay, GL, that's it for now. Okay, and let's run this out. F5. What does it say? I love Mumbai. It got printed, right? Now, what will happen? This was fine. This was a bit expected. But what will happen if I define an S out here which says, something like, which says, I love New York. Okay. So there is a string out here which says I love Mumbai, and there is a string inside the function I love New York. Which S will it print? Let's have a look. I love New York. It didn't print I love Mumbai, which means this S over here gave precedence to the local variable S, unlike the global variable S. Hope you understand that. Now, but if I print an S out here, what's going to happen? What's going to be printed first? Or what's going to be printed at all? Of course, it's going to be I love New York first, because the function is called first. I love New York is printed, and then a print of S. After the function is returning, you're going to have a print S, which this S is now going to be this variable. This is just a local variable which gets extinct out there. Hope you got the point. Now, let's say for example, if this particular S was not here. Let me say this S was not here. And then I printed this S. What would happen? I love New York, but after that it says name S is not defined. Which one? This one. Which means a local variable cannot be accessed outside the function. A local variable inside a function cannot be accessed outside the function. But a global variable outside can be accessed inside if there is no local variable. Just as, I just remove the variable that is from there and I just print this out. Cool. Do you understand? Yes. A global variable can be accessed inside the function if and only if there is no local variable. If there is a local variable, the local variable gets precedence inside the function over the global variable. We just saw that. Okay. Now, so variable cannot be both local and global inside a function. So Python decides, that we want a local variable due to the assignment of S inside of F. So let's have a look now. What if I want to use the S which is there outside? I want to use the S which is there in the global variable. I want to use that S outside, inside here, which means I don't want, when I say print S, I'm going to say print S now. When I say print S, I don't want I love New York to be printed. I want I love Mumbai to be printed, which means I'm going to say here global S. I need to use the keyword global, which means in the function I'm using an S which is the global variable S which is outside. Okay, and now I print S, and then I'm going to assign to S I love New York, and I'm going to print S even after assigning here. And then my function call gets over, and then I'm going to print S once again. Let's see what happens. F5. Okay. I love Mumbai. I love New York. I love New York. What happened? When the function was called, it is a global S, which means the global S is I love Mumbai. So when it printed S, it printed I love Mumbai. Then the S got changed. Now this S, which S is this? Is it a local S or is it a global S? It's a global S. Because you just said that in this function, if you're using S, it is going to be the global variable S. So you have the S and you're just changing that value to I love New York. And now when you have I love New York, you printed the S and it was I love New York. And then you came back and you printed S. You would think, oh, maybe I should print I love Mumbai. No. The S, the global S which went inside now got changed. It is now I love New York. So when it came out of the function and it printed an S, it was no longer I love Mumbai, but it was I love New York, because the S got changed within the function. Okay, so we have solved our problem. Now there is no ambiguity. Okay, so the output of the script is doing fine. Now, as we said, okay,